Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
This is the way it is in America today. This is America. I am human. I am human. Sticking needles in my brain, driving me insane. I feel the pressure coming down. Here we go again. Run away so far away, please get away from me. I'm just a mirror of everything you see.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I'm your host, David Strege, and here I have another review for you. This time it is coming from Flensburg, which is an independent town in the north of the German state of Schleswig-Holstein. Apparently, Flensburg is the center of the region of southern Schleswig, after Kiel and Lübeck. It is the third largest town in Schleswig-Holstein. And somewhere near here is a director by the name of René Wiesner, who went to Thailand, Indonesia, and filmed a couple of short films that are I don't know whether they're considered mockumentaries or what, but ultimately his two short films ended up as a double feature on Underground Gore Electors VHS clam cover set, and apparently much of both of these films, the first of which is called Audio Uomo, and which that translates to men's audio from Italian, and it's got a second longer title, The Last Road of Man. And supposedly in 2017 it was filmed in Calasan. Now Calasan is an Indonesian temple that is down at the end of a road. And there is a mother and her daughter that are kind of in and around the area while Renee is filming. And the little girl, I'm just going to call her Erin, um, she evidently is kicking at a rooster or a bird that is injured. And there is an injured, what looks like an iguana, that part of its tail and part of its beak is missing. You see three young boys, across a river, who one of them actually reaches down off a craggy rock and hits a lizard with a stick and brings it up to his friends. So it seems like there's some poaching going on. And I'm guessing this is all like publicly happening. So you hear the sounds of the jungle. You hear parrots in the background. So the scenery is and the sounds. You get the idea that you're out in the middle of nowhere. And um, at the end of this journey of poaching and whatnot, apparently the filmmaker takes his camera and ends up in what looks like a museum of sorts or a shop that pretty much has various um, developments of death and mummification and weird assortment of um, mummified cadavers in glass cases, skeletons dressed up, um, various fetuses in development, children that were encased in death, maybe stillborn children that mothers may have brought to this monument. Um, since this says that it was filmed in Kalasan, I'm assuming that this is the temple. This is where people can display their loved ones or whatnot. Or, like I said, it looked like a shop. It could have been a black market kind of a thing. And I know that I'm spoiling a bit of what's going on in this particular film, but there were some gruesome cadavers that are in these glass cases. I mean, some of the skulls were crushed. Um, there were open organs that looked like they were in various states of decay. And it's like each of these figures and cadavers and moments in death were captured in time. I know that some mummies were unearthed in peat bogs, and I don't know whether these were specifically people of note. I don't really know, but in the second film, which is called Todessehnsucht, that in German, I believe, means death wish, which is what the English subtitles said. Now, the little girl, Ern, turned to her mother, Ans, and she asked for some money, and she went and evidently she bought something to put on top of some kind of a hut, and then she as well went over to this mausoleum of entombed death on display, and she went over to a certain skeleton of a small child, and it seemed like she said that she loved the she didn't know it or whatever it was, or she, but she loved it anyways, and that was a kind of a precious moment. Now you do get to see a little bit more of some of the stuff on the walls of this um, tomb, which is what I'm going to call it, because that's pretty much what it is. Because there were a lot of there were skeletons, there were mummies, there were various children in various states of development, from tadpole stage to um, but I mean there was a teenager with all of his guts open, and looked like there was a worm in his mouth, and they all very much look like they were preserved at one point in time. Like they must have sewn the mouths shut so that the tongue couldn't spill out or something like that, and that was uh, when it got to the close-ups of the skulls being crushed, and the different various states of the decay of the open chest work and all that. That's when I started to somewhat cringe just a little bit, at least in the first film. This second one is more. I mean, I was wondering why any woman would allow her child to see any amount of bodies or children in those kind of states, and you wonder what was going through the mind of this child, and it's a wonderment at what some of the children have to grow up with on the other side of the world, um, because you want to protect your children, if you have them, and you don't really want them to see everything before they grow into the adults that they become. So, um, I thought that these two films were more reality than drama, as IMDb says, and um, I'm not gonna say whether I enjoyed them, but it's somewhat. And whenever I see stuff like this, it's more like reality, because what Renee filmed here was reality of what some cultures have done to their dead, and it's weird to us, but it's um, it's respectful for their culture. I'm assuming, because there was someone who looked like a monk who went in there, like this was a sacred artifacts room, and so the fact that they have it so open like that, and so much stuff preserved like that, you almost wonder if this is like more of a museum than a shop. It's just with some of the soldiers outside, aside, dressed up as mannequins and whatnot. You think that you're stepping into a shop of some sort. But I'm assuming because in Todessehnsucht, Death Wish, when the little girl put bought that something on top that gave her permission to go and see what was inside this tomb of memorabilia of this Indonesian society's people's history. And I'm assuming that because of her early age, it is an honor to have her present to see this, I guess, as old as she is, or as young as she is. So I'm not gonna say that I enjoyed these films, but it was educational, and I just thought I'd go on about them. They were shot really well, and they were definitely a unique perspective into the world in which René filmed this of. I mean, I think he filmed it out of respect for the stuff, and this is a very nice addition for this. This came with two or three posters, I think two, and here is Todessehnsucht. Here is a one of the posters. This is number 25 out of 50. And let's see. One of these is for Todessehnsucht. Here, let me show you. Backwards. And then the other, let me show you, is probably for Audio Uomo. Or actually, there's another poster of the same, but here's one for Audio Uomo. And here's another for Audio Uomo. So I guess there are three different posters. Two for Audio Uomo. And again, this is audio. This is from Underground Gore Electors, and I was buying his editions of different films from time to time, and he was one of the best distributors that I knew at one point in time, but he hasn't given me my defiler yet, and it's been almost a year. I'm starting to lose hope in Underground Gore Electors for that film, but I wanted to let others know about this film, and hopefully you enjoyed my description of this film. Like and subscribe my page if you have not, and definitely check this film out if you get a chance, and his work. As a documentarian, I would try to find a way to access his films and let others know about his work as well. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate your time spent on my channel. Thank you so much.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?